What's that? What's on your favorite technology show, you ask? From India's most expensive electric SUV to India's first smartphone with a flagship Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset. That's a very powerful flagship killer. We're also talking about AI, gaming, all that, and a lot more on your favorite technology show. I'm your host Aayush Ailawadi, and this is Tech Today. I'm standing next to India's most expensive and premium electric SUV, the new Mercedes EQE. We have it exclusively here on Tech Today. You might have seen it on a media drive up in the mountains in Kashmir, but we want to put it through its paces in the traffic of Mumbai. Tell you what the range is all about, whether it's a true bang for your buck, how does it compare with its rivals, and most importantly, what makes it so special. When the EQS 580 was launched, we had it first here on Tech Today. And if you're a loyal viewer of the show, you'll know that through the course of 2022, it was our top EV on Tech Today. This one is the younger cousin. It's not a sedan, although the EQE globally is also a sedan. This is the SUV variant here in India. And there's a lot happening on the outside, but so much more happening on the inside. Honestly, this is more like a technology express, so let me walk you through it. The EQE 500. Let me just walk you around the car and tell you a little bit about the design. Now, if you've seen our EQS review, and you've seen a bunch of them on the road now already, well, they've managed to maintain that as well. I think with Mercedes now, the focus is on aerodynamics, very, very sleek designs, nothing like their ICE counterparts, and then all the tech on the inside, which is actually very useful, and that's why we're featuring it on Tech Today. You see this lovely central faux grille. It has a constellation of stars right here, Mercedes logo here, massive electric signage telling you that this is from the EQ lineup. Then you have, well, these headlights with 1.3 million pixels, smart lamps right there, which will obviously project basis what the oncoming traffic situation is like, adjust automatically, but that kind of stuff you see in the car as well. From the front, it doesn't look like an SUV, and that might be something that you won't be very pleased about. For that, you need to come onto the side of the car where you see its real dimensions. Sitting on 20-inch alloy wheels, that's the first giveaway that this is an SUV from the Mercedes stables. If you look at the camera system, obviously there are some buttons over here. Click right on it and you get the most high definition camera you will see on any EV. You have a bunch of cameras that really show up over here, 360. The animations are spot on. Of course, the EQE comes with a bunch of drive modes which can be accessed by hitting this button right here. Economy is where you'll get the most range, but not the most punch. Settle for a little lesser range and you can head into comfort. Speaking of interiors, it is plush, it is refined, and it feels like $1,000,000. There's leather over here, two tones over there, this hyper screen which is like an IMAX experience by itself. The real proof is in the pudding. So let's take this for a quick drive and I'll tell you a little bit more about the EQE. You might have seen videos of this car in very scenic locations, but the real practical use case is in the city, and in this sort of start-stop traffic, there's a couple of things that you need to consider. Obviously, if you're in Mumbai or Delhi and you're driving this in the night, it can do 0 to 100 in under 5 seconds. It is a performance electric SUV. Now, when you speak about battery and performance, this one comes with a 90.5 kilowatt charger. And Mercedes claims you can get up to 550 kilometers. In the real world, it's more like 400 to 450 kilometers on a single charge. And when you talk about EVs and Tesla coming to India and a supercharging network being set up, look, Mercedes already has its teeth in the game with nearly 30 to 40, I think 35, 36 fast charging stations across in different locations. Some of them will give you 60 kilowatt fast charging. Some of them will go all the way up to 180 kilowatt fast charging. So we've established that this is a great car to drive in the city and even for those short outstation trips. But is it a good car to be chauffeured around in? Look, I honestly hate being driven around. I prefer driving myself. But a lot of people spending so much money might want to be chauffeured around, especially in the big cities. And well, if you go by seating right now, again, I don't understand why that side rail is there. There's enough, well, knee room, leg room, even though I've pushed this seat right to the back, up on top, especially when you open the sunroof, there's enough height as well. There's not much under thigh support. And honestly, if there's two people like me sitting over here, maybe a kid could sit in the middle. The other thing is, if you really want to relax on a long journey and enjoy that soft suspension that the EQE offers, there's no reclining feature. And that might be something that might put off a lot of older Merc customers, especially when they want to relax after a hard day's night. But other than that, the rear seat experience is not such a bad one. Yes, there could have been more space, there could have been more tech on display and a little bit more comfort. But like I said, I think the EQE 500 is a car to be driving around in, not to be driven around in. Now that you've watched this electric review on Tech Today, it's time for the $1 million question, or shall I say, for the 1.39 crore rupee question. Does this SUV justify its price tag? If you compare it to its rivals or peers, the Jaguar I-Pace or the Audi Q8 e-tron or the BMW iX, all very competent vehicles we've driven on the show and given you reviews of. You can always log on to techtoday.in and get some of those reviews, and of course check out our social media channels. It is 10% or 15% more expensive than them at 1.39 crore rupees. My 2 pence over there is, if you are an enthusiast and you like the Mercedes approach to electric, the aerodynamic design, then that's not much of a difference for you. But the real question is performance. Where does this particular car shine through? That is in refinement. The one thing it does not have is a comfortable rear seat. So if that's why you're getting this particular SUV, electric SUV, then that's not the solution. If you're looking for where tech meets refinement, that's where the EQE 500 comes in. It's an all-purpose, one-stop shop car. All the amazing qualities of the EQS, one of the best EVs we've driven on Tech Today, have been embodied. That DNA has been passed on to the EQE SUV. It's got nearly 450 kilometers of range. It is absolutely mind-blowing when it comes to being tech-loaded. That's what the EQE 500 is all about. So if you're an enthusiast who wants a one-stop shop tech-loaded solution for all your trips within the city and even outstation, the short ones within 450 kilometers, well then the EQE 500 is a very, very refined choice. What is ChatGPT? More about the Chandrayaan landing, cricket crazy, World Cup. Where do all of these elements come together? Well, they come together most likely in your mind and then on Google search. It's that time of the year again. We want to know what you've been searching for on Google. Are there any particular trends? Is it very different from the last year? Here's that time to sum it all up in this special Tech Today report.
That time of the year again, time to take a look back at the things that captured trends, sparked our curiosity and fueled our searches here in India in the year gone by. From cricket crazy to Bollywood blockbusters, from Moe Moe memes to space missions, the past year has been a wild ride. This year, Chandrayaan 3 was the most searched event in India. This historic mission dominated searches, making India the fourth country to land on the moon. Karnataka election results and Israel news were also some of the top searches of the year on Google. Google also saw a surge in search for what is G20, what is ChatGPT, and what is Hamas. Google revealed that users searched for how to prevent sun damage for skin and hair with home remedies, how to reach my first 5,000 followers on YouTube, and how to get good at kabaddi. One of the top celebrities who captured everyone's attention this year was Bollywood actress Kiara Advani. She also found a spot in the top trending global actors list. She was followed by cricketer Shubman Gill and New Zealand cricketer Rachin Ravindra. On the social media side of things, memes that really grew on us over time were Bhupinder Jogi, so elegant, so beautiful, just looking like a wow, and Moe Moe. Speaking of entertainment, Jawan, Gadar, Oppenheimer were some of the most searched for movies this year. Farzi, Wednesday, and Asur dominated the Google search trends this year. Google also revealed that Kesariya song from film Brahmastra was the second most hummed song of the year globally. Indians were also quite curious about travel destinations, wherein Vietnam, Goa, and Bali topped the charts. Well, looking at the top trending search of 2023 in India, it certainly has been a Tech Today style, action-packed year for Indian users.
When you talk about powerful smartphones, especially Android smartphones, you might want to purchase a Samsung or a OnePlus or even an Oppo. But what if I told you that I have with me India's most powerful smartphone as of the filming of this episode, December 2023, pre-Christmas, the only phone in India currently with Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, the most powerful chipset on an Android smartphone, and it comes on the iQOO 12. So let's unbox it, and then I'll give you my initial impressions of this device. In terms of branding, you still have the BMW Motorsport branding. Fascination meets innovation is what they're saying. It's very subtle, but it is there. From a distance, you would know what this phone is all about. Now, it houses one of the world's most powerful chipsets, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, the first phone in India with this chipset. But if we're talking purely about design, I think it really looks the part, and they've genuinely done a good job with the iQOO 12 in terms of design. Now, when you see some of these symbols and the way the phone is and the fact that it is an iQOO smartphone, you could be prompted to believe that this is meant for gaming because they have a reputation for building very good performance gaming phones. But this time they focused, of course, on the chipset and the design and most importantly, the camera setup. But we'll tell you about the camera in a bit and we'll show you samples as well, so stay tuned. The display is also a key component when it comes to a gaming smartphone. And honestly, the display is a very premium one. It comes with a massive 6.78-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED display, and that means a peak brightness of up to 3000 nits. So if you're on bright scenarios, bright settings, this phone's display does a great job as well. Now, in terms of resolution, it's incredibly sharp and it can actually go up all the way from 1 Hz to 144 Hz. What does that mean? A refresh rate which is buttery smooth and it's adaptive as well. So that will help with the battery life while it's still giving you that sort of performance that you need in your everyday life. Now, in terms of audio, there's 2 stereo speakers on this device. And because I don't want any copyright claim, we'll just go to one of our favorite episodes on Tech Today of this episode to see what it sounds like.
I think there is. Maybe that was, maybe COVID shook us all. I'm not sure. But it feels like there's even more energy.
I have to say this, I've been using a foldable and iPhones, and we keep switching phones on Tech Today, but the sound is crystal clear. Now, there's 2 good things about unboxing an Android smartphone. Usually, you get a power brick, and with this, you have a Vivo-powered flash charge 120-watt power brick. So it's going to be fast charging for sure, USB-C to C, because you need a C type to handle that kind of power. And the second thing that I like is that it comes with this cover. Now, under the hood, this one is running Fun Touch OS, which is iQOO's operating system there's a mixed bag of responses in terms of how that operates. Of course, it works fine on this device. The good thing is, apart from the Pixel 8, which is this device right here, the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8 Pro, that lineup has Google's latest Android 14. All the cool features from Google come on these devices. But now in India, you also have this flagship killer, so to speak, which comes with Fun Touch OS, which is based on Android 14. Now, it has all those basic functionalities that come with Android 14. You know, when people talk about fast charging, there's so many debates about what does it mean for battery health and stuff like that. But if you're not concerned with that, by the way, we have done a detailed video on that and you can find it on Tech Today's platforms. But a 120-watt charger on the iQOO 12 means that this 5000 mAh battery, which is a massive battery, can be charged from 0 to 100 in under 30 minutes. And I think that is quite useful, especially when you're on the go, playing on the go, perhaps editing or creating content or consuming content on the go. But that's of course possible because of fast charging. Something that's possible because of the chipset and the work that their engineering team has done. Now, as I was saying, of course, it is a good gaming smartphone, but the focus this year, I think, has been on the camera, and the camera performs exceptionally well for a phone at this price point. It has a triple camera setup at the back. That means a 50 megapixel main sensor, a 50 megapixel ultra wide sensor, and in terms of telephoto, it's a 64 megapixel telephoto lens where you can take 3x and 10x periscope zoom shots. Just have a look at some of these camera samples from this device, and the portrait mode or some of these telephoto, macro, and all of these modes have done seamlessly well in all of our initial tests. There's also astrophotography on this device, but that's something I don't use much on a smartphone because of all the AI and processing that happens with those features. The video is also fairly decent. If you have a look at our detailed review, you'll know that the camera is a huge bump up, a huge improvement from the previous year. In terms of the front camera, it is only a 16 megapixel shooter. And while it does a fairly decent job, if you remove all these AI touch-up features and stuff like that, you put nothing whatsoever, it does a fairly decent job in this sort of studio lighting and in daylight. I tend to think a lot of Android devices, barring the Pixel, tend to overprocess the image. I don't know, maybe it's a matter of choice, it's subjective, but you could get a better image potentially on a Pixel and an iPhone. But of course, those are in another league when it comes to price. This one is catching up very fast, and I can understand why they're calling this the flagship killer. There's also this 100x tele lens, which I'm very curious about, but I haven't had the perfect opportunity to test that. We will be testing that further on Tech Today. But in terms of the device, it comes in two color options, white and black, and in two memory options as well. There's two variants when it comes to RAM, 12 GB or 16 GB. In terms of storage, you get a standard 256 GB on this device. The younger brother with 12 GB costs you 52,999, and the elder one with 16 gigs of RAM costs you 57,999. Now, is this a phone which is a true bang for your buck? If you're okay with Fun Touch OS, the operating system, and the way it operates, then this is something you must consider. It also gives you almost DSLR-like shots using that 64 megapixel telephoto lens. It looks really, really sleek. In terms of the front camera, yes, it could have been better. It is optimized for gaming, literally with a bunch of things that make your gaming experience much better. The display, the brightness, and the sound's fairly decent too. At this price point, one thing I can definitely vouch for is that it is one of the most bang for your buck flagship killers in the market out there. And of course, it comes with the mighty Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, the iQOO 12 exclusively on Tech Today. What do you think of India's first smartphone with Snapdragon 8 Gen 3? More importantly, what do you think about the newest EV we had on the show? Also, there's some time left for Christmas, though we're already in Christmas mood here on Tech Today. But what's on your festive shopping wish list? We already know what you've been Googling because that reports out what did you make of this action-packed episode of Tech Today. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Is there something we could do better? Do let us know on our social media handles. But I'm going to see you next week, recharged, refueled with all the latest and greatest from the world of tech. I'm your host, Aayush Ailawadi, saying until next week, adios.